Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jordan Bateman, Director of Communications for the Independent Contractors and Businesses Association. I got choked up as I said that. The mighty ICBA, and I'm joined by our Vice President, Regional Development, the man from the north, the capital of Northern BC, Prince George, Mr. Mike Davis.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
First time in the studio, and it's quite the honor.
I know, it's not bad, right?
You know what?
A little bit of fun.
It's fantastic.
It was great during the, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was great during the World Championship hockey tournament because games in the morning, you'd have them on the big screen as I was doing my work.
Super convenient.
Over there, yeah, not bad at all, not bad at all. ICBA, we're the voice of BC's construction and responsible resource development industries. You can follow us on Twitter at ICBABC, at Facebook.com/theICBA, and online, icba.ca. But Mike, I wanted to ask you, you were one of the 100 or so folks, business leaders, labor leaders, Indigenous leaders, who boarded a flight last week, flew with the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade on the fantastically named Federation flight, flew to Edmonton for a one-day kind of whirlwind tour.
Yep.
You met Premier Notley, you went to the Chamber of Commerce there. Tell me about that experience.
Well, it was quite the warm day, and we had scarves, so it was quite the plane was quite sweaty. But it was quite the honor to be a part of that. Really neat initiative, and certainly it was pretty amazing to head to Alberta and feel so welcomed and accepted and be around friends and family in that space. The media exposure in itself was phenomenal. At the legislature in particular, just really neat seeing everybody come out to that. And it was a big deal that all these groups came, and definitely the delegates that were there from the province of Alberta made us feel, like I said, extremely welcome and valued. And you know, it's a lot of people talk about the pipeline, and of course that's a big issue, but it's more than the pipeline, and it's a concern for us as ICBA, as a resident of British Columbia, as a citizen of Canada, seeing the challenges that are taking place right now, and the lack of confidence in our country, and seeing investment leaving, and certainly as an individual, it's concerning, and somebody with a family, we look at the long-term prosperity of our country, and it's scary times.
Yeah, and someone who lives in a community that is notable for its booms and busts.
Correct. Yeah, Prince George, where our office is based, I mean, we're a bit more diverse, but we've got another office in Fort St. John, and these are communities that feel the impacts, and I think it's safe to say that a lot of folks in the Lower Mainland don't understand the significance of some of these projects that are happening that impact the Northeast and putting food on the table for families. It has a real direct impact, and it's easy to make a decision on a project when you don't see those same impacts on yourselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were in a board meeting, and not to tell tales out of school, but Dave Wallace, our board member of ours who lives in Fort St. John, has had a business there, was telling us that in a usual year they have about 100 rigs out there doing drilling, and this year 28, max out at 28.
Yeah, and people can look at it and say, oh, well, Site C happened and it's helping the community. That's a small piece of what goes on there, and from the energy side, the oil and gas side, it is hard times right now. Businesses are looking at closing. You look at a place like Fort Nelson that's having major challenges, and so we had great representation from members in Dawson Creek, Fort St. John, attending the Federation flight. So it really was a regional, provincial delegation, and nice to have perspectives of those communities coming and showing their support for that initiative.
Federation flight was great. I mean, the hashtag Federation flight was trending all day in BC and Alberta. I heard from one Alberta reporter who said that there was more media there for that event than there was for the provincial budget the last time around. And I gotta say, like, even things that would have seemed hokey if you talked about beforehand, but you guys had like a spontaneous "O Canada" song sing on the steps of the legislature with the Premier of Alberta. Like, that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of pride. It was really exciting being a part of it, and that moment in particular that you just spoke of was a neat moment that just happened because everybody was of the same mindset, and very patriotic being there, and a real purpose, a very clear purpose. And you talk about the media around it, and funny story I'll share is, so we got home on the Thursday night. The Friday morning, I get a message from a friend of mine that lives in Hong Kong, who had been contacted by another mutual friend that lives in Mumbai, who had seen a clip of us in Edmonton and saw myself in there. And so like this, it shows how, the significance of the media and who's seeing it. But phenomenal coverage, and definitely was really excited and honored to be on that flight.
Yeah. What was the general sense from the Albertans? I mean, they would have been friendly to us. We obviously support their position on this, but I imagine the frustration with the John Horgan government's through the roof there.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Just let's get this done. Yeah. And it's been an approved project, and let's end all the politics of it. Premier Notley gave a phenomenal speech over lunch that was very clear, very concise, and there's no debating where she stands on this, and she's shown great leadership on this file, and based on the attendees of the event, phenomenal support from the business community, from industry, from communities in general. It's going, she's been fantastic. I got to commend her on her leadership.
Yeah. What happens if they cut off our gas?
I
can't even imagine. Like, it's, now I live 20 minutes from a border crossing. I imagine the border crossings will quintuple in size in order to go buy cheaper gas in the States. But my God, it's an instant recession.
Oh, it is. And I would imagine, not stereotyping a lot of people, but some folks might just think they'll just have to go to Home Depot to get their propane gas. And we heard a story about there was an individual on a certain large island in British Columbia that was very uneducated on how the flow of resources came, and was just of the mindset that, my natural gas, I get it from Home Depot. That's where it comes from. So if there's a ban, they'll just...
They are not drilling for natural gas in most of the Home Depots across the province. As far as we know. If they are, that's a heck of a business model.
Yeah.
Tell us about what else is happening there. I mean, we talk a lot about Trans Mountain.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about Site C, but give me a sense of the feeling there. I know during the election campaign and the aftermath, there was a lot of talk of they call it rural-urban divide, but Prince George is a very urban community. I mean, kind of the northern-southern divide more than anything else.
Yeah, we've got there's no confusion about where the people in that part of the province voted. So we all kind of, for the most part, share a similar view. Prince George, we're seeing a lot of new private sector investment happening in the community. New housing developments downtown, multiple new hotels happening.
Young families galore there.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing that all over the north, right? And when you look at affordability down in Vancouver, access to amenities, quality of life in terms of commutes and all that, these are all things that keep people in the north and attract people. And lots of upcoming things happening. We're involved in a ton of stuff throughout the north. For those that may not know, we have had an office in Prince George for the last 2.5 years or so, and about over a year or so in Fort St. John. So we've been expanding our regional presence over the last few years up in Prince George and throughout the north. And excited to be a part of some neat events in the summer. This coming August will be our second kick of the can at the Dawson Creek Rodeo.
Can't wait to see Chris Gardner in a cowboy hat again.
It's the second time in 2 years that some of our staff will be wearing cowboy hats. So that's always an exciting...
He'll complain about it, but Michael peer pressure him.
We'll have to maybe adopt some cowboy boots. But you got to look authentic.
That's true, exactly. You got to expand every year. You got
to build trust. You look trustful, and we can't, certainly look like city slickers in these communities.
No, absolutely. Now, last question, last issue I want to talk to you about is proportional representation.
Yes, yeah.
And this, to me, is a horrible, horrible thing for the North in general, where you already have massive ridings geographically, and under any proportional representation scheme, what happens is they have to take a certain number of local MLAs away in order to allocate them according to vote counts across the province. one of the ideas being floated is the idea that have it mirror federal ridings. This would mean doubling in size geographically most of these northern ridings. It means fewer people representing the north in the legislature. It means more power for Vancouver. Stop me if I have anything positive to say about Prop Rep, because this thing's going to be terrible.
And I'm glad you brought that up as the last point, because for us it's disastrous. We have a hard enough time fighting issues, bringing issues to the table that impact our region. And I might be biased here, but we've got some of the hardest working MLAs in the province in our ridings, and to lose that would be terrible. So I think it's pretty clear in the north the risk of this and what could happen if this actually results. We have to really fight hard for this and educate people what it really means, because for us to lose and have no access to our MLAs, I mean, that's one of our biggest strengths is the work they do on behalf of us. So it's very concerning.
And to give people an idea, I mean, we talk about Shirley Bond and Mike Morris as the Prince George MLAs, but Shirley's riding starts from Prince George and goes all the way to the BC-Alberta border at Valemount, right? I mean, it's not a small riding. I'm not sure how far Mike's goes.
Mike's goes into Mackenzie. So you look at the amount of MLAs just in Vancouver alone, and the geography that they cover. Our MLAs have so much ground to cover, so many people to represent, so many diverse issues. If that gets taken away, it's terrible for us. This needs to be one of the biggest issues of concern for northern residents.
Yeah, absolutely. At ICBA, we've been thinking about how we're going to be involved in the campaign. We are drastically, completely opposed to Prop Rep. We're going to find ways to connect people from the north to people in southern BC to explain these things, to try to give a different perspective. Look, you don't even have to be in the north to be concerned about this. If you live in Surrey or Langley, like I do, you're going to lose representation to Vancouver, Burnaby, and New Westminster. So, picture that frustration you'll have with Vancouver having twice the clout you have. Then multiply that again by 2 for what the north is going to feel. So we got to stick in this thing together. We got to stop these. It all sounds wonderful and warm, collaborative, make every vote count. The truth is, you'll just completely continue to alienate the north. A north which, frankly, ruminates from time to time about splitting off and joining Alberta anyways, and John Horgan's sure making it easy. Take me with you if you go, Mike. Take me with you if you go.
Separatist Party. But everybody out there, know this guy's got some clever ideas to stop this. So lots of neat and exciting things coming down the line here, and be exciting.
All right, great. And should I mention one last thing? You've got great people working in the office there with you. Christina Klotz is there. Zoe's coming back from maternity leave.
Shout out to Christina Klotz, just a gem. Great to have her in our Prince George office, and we welcome back from maternity leave on June 25th our first member service coordinator, Zoe Nunes. So nice to have
Jarvis in Fort St. John.
Yes, correct.
We got the Daves up there from the board.
Dave Tuchansky, Dave Wallace, local legends in Fort St. John, and Art Jarvis, where you can't go anywhere in that city without somebody knowing him.
I've been told that if you walk through the city with the Daves and Art, that you never have to pay for a beer.
It's like having your own bodyguards. These guys know everybody. It's perfect.
I'm gonna get to FSJ one of these days. I gotta get on this Dawson Creek rodeo thing. Go hang out with Dale Bumstead and those guys there.
The more the merrier up there.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for watching. Again, ICBA.ca. Mike, you're on Twitter.
I'm not.
You're not?
No.
Mike's on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram.
If you want obnoxious Instagrams of a guy vacationing in Costa Rica, follow Mike Davis PG and he'll show you.
The best.
Now, in fairness, he also posted pictures of himself polar bear dipping this year. So he's done the whole gamut. So.
Yeah, the best way to health is swimming in frozen lakes in the wintertime.
10 feet of snow this year? Was that the official count?
About that. And our snow, it was early May when it finally...
and now it's 30 degrees up there.
Yeah, it went from winter to a day of spring to summer. So
if you were hoping for a spring wedding in Prince George, we hope you hit that day.
No more 4 seasons up there.
No, absolutely not. All right, well, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll talk to you again soon.